heard from Jack, who's also modest, has been in many places, and I hear people constantly saying about Jack that he is the father that I've never had. And it's often African American youth who go through the system, and sometimes in the courtroom, and I mean a number of times, Jack is the only person there, and maybe there's a mother following this person through this system that is biased to see that this child, another child, doesn't fall in between the cracks. That's the type of commitment coming out of the San Francisco Unified School District, out of a job, to fire himself from his own job to be a community worker, somebody who wanted to be an activist and relevant. And then Corey, who said that the Omegas became a safe place. They challenged his mentality, and he brought humor to us, right? And it's important to have humor, right? Especially when things are really difficult and there's a lot of trauma, right? And don't let Jack intimidate you, man. He really soft. I love Jack, but he works challenging mentalities of folks who are on a path to destruction. So he gets into their thinking by asking them probing questions and challenging them. And that's what he brought to our class today. And then my brother, I'm still learning your name, I'm sorry. Javon, yeah. And he just brought so much because he said his dad was an original Omega. And here he is, second generation, finding himself. He said, know thyself. And we used to read them books, Corey. Everywhere in Egypt, on every temple, it said, know thyself. Because in you is everything, fire, water, anything you want to find in the universe, every kind of combustion, every kind of fire or carbon, it's all inside of you. So when you learn yourself, you learn the universe. And that's how Jack started us off. How many of us in here know ourselves? How many of us know our neighbors and what they're struggling with? The difficult things that we don't talk about. So let's take this last 15 or 20 minutes and let's have an open discussion. And let's just keep it real. Let's drop all of the titles. Who cares? We at USF, it don't matter. Because right now, if there was a catastrophe and we were in a state of nature and all of the resources are gone, it wouldn't matter that we was at USF, would it? We'd just be human beings in need of resources, and we would need each other to survive, right? So let's drop all that and let's just spend these last few minutes. You can ask questions. Let's get real with each other.
Any questions for anything said? Any challenges?
Right.
Anything you disagree
I
with?
love challenges. Please disagree with
That's
me.
why
I
I
love
love
it.
Omega as well, because it's not like, I ain't feeling that. That sound weird or that. You speak up, so take that into consideration.
Who wants to start?
I have a question. I'm not gonna disagree with something you said, I'm sorry. I actually really related to you talking about how you were on your own a lot growing up, and you found yourself getting frustrated and taking that frustration out on people around you without knowing it. What do you think was the way that you were able to most efficiently start to handle dealing with what had happened, being on your own and stuff, so that you weren't, treating people a certain way without trying to?
It was honestly just really wanting to deal with it, because regardless if I take it out on somebody, it never is. So what I use in juvenile is this example. It's kind of like poison. Like if I have a syringe and I poke you with that poison, right? You can do whatever you want to, cool, whatever. You can get rid of me. I cannot be in your environment, but I just poisoned you already. You still have that poison inside you. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to do that or get the cure for that? So that's kind of what mine was. It's like kind of really dealing with my own anger and understand why I'm angry first. Like I realized I was doing things in the streets because I needed that attention from a male figure. Mm-hmm. I was angry because my dad wasn't there as much as I wanted him to. So it's dealing with that first, and then it's okay. Well, this is the result of that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of it's a painful process, but it's worth it because you're kind of cleansing it out. When you cry, you really break down and you get through it, and then you come out on the other side. Like, okay, you know what? I'm a little lighter from it because I let it out. A lot of times we just hold everything going on in. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm okay until somebody pushed the wrong button that day and we
Yeah, thank you.
That's a good topic, because we finna make a performance, right? And we're dealing with marginalized communities. How do we deal with pain? How do we deal with pain? Yes.
I have a comment if I may.
Please.
It's not really a question. Maybe I'm just talking about this because it literally ended a few days ago, but some of you may have seen it. I did a senior thesis project, performance project, and it was titled Moving Forward, and the narrative of what it was really about is how you move forward past destruction, and I wanted to use all the elements. So when Professor Daniel was really talking about those books that you were reading about the elements, that just like really hit me. And you said something earlier about, you asked who knew what fentanyl was, and a lot of my project was a grieving process because I had a friend die in July because of fentanyl overdose that she didn't know her samples was laced in. A lot of people don't know what my senior project really was about, but it was about how to move forward using the elements and how to get past grief and how to get past destruction in the midst of everything, in the midst of chaos. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
And then we talk about, another thing we talk about in Omega is the difference between getting over something and getting through it. Sometimes just getting over something, you actually didn't get to the core reason of why you're feeling the way you feel. Getting over something is kind of like, man, I'm feeling this, let me just go out. Or let me do something to distract me from it. Like getting through it is the hardest thing, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna sit alone and I'm gonna deal with this pain. I'm gonna figure out why I'm so angry. And for me, my biggest motivation is, I seen adults who were angry. It's like, I don't want to be like that. And I don't forget anything that I thought. It's funny because when I was actually in juvenile hall, I wrote myself a letter. Like my mind was a little different growing up. And I just really felt like nobody understood that. So while I was in hall, I made sure I didn't forget anything that I was thinking and I was feeling, and wrote that to myself. And I still have that. And I still able to bring it to the halls and kind of use that as an example. So get through it. Get through it.
Dope. I like what you said about the piece that you wrote, grief. Cause see, like, I don't really believe it's, and you know, shout out to A and all that. I really don't believe it's no such thing as dope fiends in the world. I don't believe it's no killers. I just believe it's hurt people. And that's really what was at the core of my actions. There was pain that I had not processed. And I didn't know where that hurt was at because no one had modeled that in my environment. What I saw was people not taking care of their pain and dying slowly and making it look cool. Either with a pistol or dope, they made death look attractive. But we were hurting. Our communities are hurting. People around us are hurting, they're suffering. And so that's what we do with art. This particular kind of art is that, because folks were saying, well, how do you stay happy? How do you stay? Corey said, man, I got to have a little humor in this because, man, this stuff is overwhelming. How do you stay happy? Well, the thing is this, though, right? We have to keep hope, but we cannot be afraid to go in and look at the pain. We cannot just be silent when it's time to talk real about the issues. Because then what do? We really performing then. It's not performing arts. We're just performing, right? But if we really want to get into and delve off into what we're working with, and we have in this class, we had to at least penetrate and get to the pain and the suffering. And out of that, bring beauty. I heard somebody say, Cole, when they gave us slavery, we gave them spirituals. They gave us scraps, and we gave them soul food. When they beat us and broke our families up, we gave them the blues. And then when they wouldn't let us vote, we gave them jazz. So all of these beautiful things can come out of suffering, right? Out of suffering. And so that is what I think about when I think about art. What is it actually that we can do in this class? Go ahead, Cole, please.
I was just thinking on top of like all the stuff that sometimes people go through, then you're taught not to cry.
Right.
Just imagine that.
Right.
When my mother died, I had a cousin told me this craziest thing, like, you're not supposed to cry. I'm like, my mother just died. Like, you know, wrong with you, fool? Right? he still avoids me because I'm really deep now. I'm like, what the hell? But one thing I try to tell people in general, young people, is it's okay to cry. Best thing I ever did was cry. I felt hell. When I finally cried, I felt hella good. I felt like I left a person behind. And then I'll cry all the time, right? I'll see a movie now and be like, oh shit, what the hell? I was with a lady one day, she's like, what the hell wrong with me? I'm crying. That's what I can cry. No problem with that. What's wrong? She's like, okay, you cry, man. Try that shit. Man, I can cry, ain't nothing wrong. But we taught that you can't cry, and then like you said, we living in a lot of false images, right? If I'm in a play role every day, if I'm young because I'm trying to be this person on TV or this dude I seen in the song, but I'm not really being me. And then talking to young people about being yourself, because it feel good to be yourself, right? We got a kid named John. I love John because one day he just jumped up, came to school, and his hair was like purple. And everybody like, what the hell? He like, hey, that's how I'm feeling. And I'm like, damn, man, you're in the 7th grade? I wish. You know what I mean? Now he do all kind of stuff, man. And now people starting to, he got like 10 dudes doing the same shit. They been wanting to do it. And sometimes it take one person to just be free, right? And all the teachers are cool. And that teacher I told you, Mr. Menzie, he got tattoos everywhere. And you know when he got hired, somebody, you're supposed to hire people with tattoos. Why not? Like the stuff we think is just older people is just beyond crazy, but we have to be free, right? It's a trip I was telling my nephews about voting, so they die-hard Bernie Sanders fans. Die-hard. They gonna take it to the grave with him, it's on. And Bernie scares the shit out of old people like me and everybody else. But my nephews laugh because they like, I'm glad it's scaring y'all all that. Good. Like y'all gonna die, we gonna change this whole world. But it's good, like we told them to vote, but you're entitled to who you want to vote for. That makes sense?
Yes.
So it's about the freedom, and I love the younger generation because they're not as afraid and more like they told us it'll be young people are challenged. Like this is who we want to be, and we're gonna take it on full-fledged. And that's the beauty of it. But it's breaking down all these old things that we were taught in the old America, which is for the better. You know what I'm saying? Because life moves forward. I heard a lady say this in class today. She said today is March 4th, right? And we sitting there, huh? She was like, yeah, today is March 4th, right? Telling the kids it's time to what? All right, I thought some of y'all didn't get it. Some of y'all get it about 10 o'clock tonight. Oh! Right. Some shit I get at night, I'm like, oh! At 10, that's what they said, right? But the thing is, it's about opening us stuff up and challenging things because what Jack has done and Marshall, they sent thousands of kids to college off of something they dreamed of because he was just tired of like things happening. What happened to my kid? Why my kid dying? So it's all about the change, and classes like this is what it's all about because it's challenging the what? Mindset, right? And I learn from young people every day is not to stop growing. Like they teach me to grow. It makes sense? What about a different mindset? Learning from my nephews about voting, a different mindset. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was talking about emotions. He was talking about emotions. One of the groups I took in prison, by the way, my name is Bruce Smith. I did 40 years incarcerated. One of the groups I took in prison that changed my whole mindset said they develop emotional intelligence. You're not angry. Angry is a secondary emotion. It's what made you angry. Your original pain. What pain did you go through in your life that made you mad at the world? At 21 years old, I went to prison. I got out of prison at 61. But be angry, I had to go all the way back to look, what really made me angry? And I went back to the point, I never thought of it. You know, I've been to a bunch of different groups, but my mother disappeared when I was 6 months old. Declared legally dead. Not growing up with a mother, and only growing up with a father who was, I guess you would call him, he's your 1940, 1950 Marine. And that's how he raised me. Don't cry, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. You're a man, you gotta stand up as a man. So all that anger and all that pain that a child gets, that's the reason I'm really big into wellness, is because children weren't taught about their emotions. They weren't allowed to express their emotions. And that bottles up inside of us. it just turned into something really mean. So mine got turned into murder. I went to prison for murder. And I stayed like 30 years on level 4 yards, level 4s and level 3s, because I was angry, hateful. Didn't care about nothing. But I took this group and they started showing me that what I was angry at was myself. I was angry at myself. So I had to learn myself, my triggers, what makes me mad, what did this, what did that. Once I learned all that, I changed myself. And he was talking about sitting in a confined area. The SHU is where I learned all this stuff. Sitting and looking at myself and reading. I'm a paralegal. And that all came because somebody told me, in prison, no one cares about you except you. Get that through your head. And as long as you care about yourself, you'll do great. And that was a dude that's got an A number. In other words, he went to prison in 1960. And he's still in there today.
Yeah, that's the kind of check-in I wanted to hear when I first got up there.
Right, right.
I mean, I had no idea, really who anybody is here in that way, except you'll have something in common, you're getting some higher education. But, right from the heart, talking about where he's been and everybody here has got stuff. Everybody. I don't have to go to prison to get it, but what's up? Different types of emotion. Look, keep the class going.
Right.
I have to go though.
Okay.
But, I mean, that doesn't mean the end of the class, whatever, but I don't wanna be rude, but I do have to go. So,
Let me just say this, man. We got about 60 seconds. So, what Jack and Marshall did, they weren't millionaires. They were grade school teachers. And the single force that drove them was not the resources. You don't have no superpowers. It was love. Love for his students allowed him to create the funding, find the space. The staircase was not there. Does that make sense? Love is the only force in the universe that can transform your enemy to an ally. Tell me another thing that could do that. Nuclear weapons can't do that. More aggression can't do that. Love can. So that's what we want to lead with in this class. Let's lead with love. Let's bring a performance that expresses love and transforms pain. Thank you, Jack. We gonna have Jack back?
Yeah.
Yeah, we invite you back, Jack. Even though he grumpy, right? We gonna love. Hey, Raina, your artistic question, I did not inform you that we were going there, so my bad. But I thought it was good exercise. Yeah. All right. Sweet. Okay. All right.
Thanks, it was a great thank you.
In dealing with pain, don't lie to yourself. You might not gotta tell everybody else the truth, but a lot of times people lie to themselves. Don't do it. Keep it real with yourself at all times, whether even when you make a mistake, okay, I did that, and own that internally. And then the second thing, never turn your back on yourself. The world is gonna do it. It's just designed that way, but you don't give up on yourself. There's always an answer, there's always an option. You gotta find it.
All right. Let's thank Corey. Yes, please.
Yeah, just an observation. I want to say thank you for being an entrepreneur. That is such a healthy way to transform the young minds who are kind of off on a beaten path or on a different road, is to encourage them with your label. That's really cool. And then I want to say to Corey, thank you for recognizing that it's cool to see a shrink. Thank you for that.
I'm gonna write, is it okay if I write my email?
Please, yes, share your email. Thank Raina, all of our TAs for setting up our class. Ms. Bowie, Georgia for the snacks, and she'll come back and do a smoothie wellness piece for us. Yes? Are we up for that? Yes? Eating healthy? Okay. And we're grateful for that. Corey, we love you. You already know you funny. Come back, man. We love you. Hey, whenever you hit the stage, you know I'm there to support you, bro. You got that comedian in you. Thank you all, man. Yes. We had a great class. Thank you, class. We'll see you next week. Yes.
Is Raina doing journals or does she already do that?
You want journals, Raina?
I will give you a break.
Okay. All right. Get caught up.